Hey there, have you ever felt like you're just, a tiny cog in a giant corporate machine, just sitting around waiting for someone else to hand you a promotion or map out your future? Well, if so, you are absolutely in the right place. In this explainer, we're going to unpack exactly how to stop feeling like a powerless employee and start acting like the absolute CEO of your own career. And we'll be drawing on some pretty brilliant insights from Beverly E. Jones to do it. So let's just jump right in.
Let's kick things off with a pretty staggering figure. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 4.6 years is the median time workers stay with an employer. I mean, think about what that really means for a second. It basically proves that constant, unavoidable change is the modern workplace's new normal. The old days of, putting in 40 years and getting a gold watch at a single company, yeah, those days are pretty much entirely behind us.
So here is our Me Inc. playbook for today. We're going to quickly cover the modern career landscape, adopting a CEO mindset, surviving your first day, tapping into the superpower of listening, and finally, how to control your personal brand.
All right, part one. The modern career landscape, a paradigm shift.
So the 20th century mindset was basically a straight-up trade, right? You show blind loyalty, you climb a single corporate ladder, and in return, you expect lifetime employment. But let's be real, that promise is completely gone. It's been replaced by a totally new reality where resilience and adaptability are literally your only real job security. Today, you have to constantly be building new skills and, honestly, just expecting constant change.
Which brings us to part two, adopting a CEO mindset. You own your career.
To survive this crazy new landscape, you really need a total internal shift. As author Carrie Hannon puts it, you run your career like a one-person business. No one else is going to do it for you. Most of our workplace frustrations actually stem from this underlying sense of powerlessness. You've got to stop viewing yourself as a passive employee and start running your career like an entrepreneur running a highly valued startup.
Whether you call it being an entrepreneur or maybe an intrapreneur working inside a larger company, Me Inc. is super multifaceted. To truly act like a CEO, you need to deeply know your organization's mission. You need to treat your bosses and your colleagues as your core customers. And interestingly enough, you need to practice failure to drive innovation. Because successful entrepreneurs, they know that false starts happen all the time, and they use them to adapt and just get better.
Moving right along to part three, surviving your first day, execution and planning.
Okay, so the author recounts this wildly relatable story of arriving for her very first day as a law firm partner. She shows up in this brand new suit, carrying an empty briefcase, totally eager to get to work. But instead of some warm, welcoming onboarding process, she finds that none of the partners who hired her were even in the office. And worse, a senior partner bluntly told her she'd have to prove herself before anyone actually gave her any work. So there she was, with absolutely nothing to do, and no plan.
Well, after going home and literally crying to her dad that night, she had this massive epiphany that actually became the ultimate truth of the CEO mindset. And that truth is, nobody else is going to take responsibility for making you successful. Not your boss, not HR, nobody. You have to bring your own plan, figure out exactly how to be useful, and manage your own integration into the team.
Next up is part four, the superpower of listening.
Now, mindful listening means consciously shutting down that little voice in your head that tries to tell you what to say next, and instead focusing entirely on the speaker. It isn't just staying quiet while you tap your foot waiting for your turn to talk. It's actively fighting the urge to get defensive or to interrupt so you can truly connect and understand what's actually happening around you. It is a total game changer. And there are these rapid-fire situations where mindful listening is hands down your most strategic move. Whether you're dealing with a super obnoxious colleague, navigating tricky middle-ground politics, or honestly just wanting to project pure confidence, staying quiet and genuinely listening makes people perceive you as highly charismatic. Plus, you gather crucial intelligence that helps Me Inc. succeed. Win-win, right?
Which leads us into part five, controlling your personal brand.
Let's consider the source's cautionary tale of Sally. So, Sally was this highly intelligent, incredibly tech-savvy project manager who just kept getting passed over for promotions. Why? Well, because she wore these eccentric sci-fi outfits to work and constantly bored her colleagues with super long stories about fantasy conventions. Now, her coworkers liked her for sure, but they just didn't take her seriously. Her accidental brand had basically become Sally the Flake, and it completely overshadowed her actual technical brilliance.
But here's the cool part. Sally decided to take control like a true CEO and implemented a complete rebranding strategy.
First, she managed appearances by dressing a bit more mainstream so her clothes weren't a distraction. Then she built her expertise by mastering a brand new technology and sharing it with her team. And finally, she started modeling the behaviors of leaders she admired. Now, Sally didn't abandon her hobbies at home, not at all. But she successfully changed her professional brand and quickly transformed from the flake into an innovative, highly respected leader.
And Sally's story really proves this absolutely critical point. Leadership begins way before you actually have the title. Your reputation as a leader starts long before you ever officially manage a team. It happens every single time you step up to solve a tricky problem, every time you share knowledge with a coworker, and every time you present yourself with real confidence.
Finally, let's wrap up with a call to action, your new job checklist.
To actually put all this into action, you really need a roadmap for intentionally launching your next project or role. Don't just sit around waiting for a manager to tell you what to do. You need to ask yourself 5 things. What is my actual job description? What are my year 1 objectives? Who are the key players I really need to meet? What are some quick wins I can secure right away? And lastly, what daily habits will keep me performing at my absolute best?
To conclude our explainer today, I really want to leave you with a provocative thought to challenge that inner CEO of yours. Look, you already have a personal brand. You are broadcasting it to your colleagues and your entire industry right at this very moment. But you have to ask yourself, is it the brand you actually want? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. Now get out there, take ownership, and start running your career like the CEO you are meant to be.